Hi there guys, it's Paula from Colors for Earth. What I'm going to do is demonstrate some silk screening. I'm taking our Gold Sparkle GS 503 Gold Sparkle. It's a powder. We mix it with our glass medium. So that's what I'm going to do now. It's a mixture of not quite 50-50. You want it a little bit thicker. You can see that that was not enough, so keep adding a little bit at a time. You need it to be able to go through the screen. So we need kind of a runny honey mixture. If you get it too thin, then what you're going to have to do is add more of your powder. So start off sparingly, and I'm just using one of our tools to mix with. Grab a little bit more of the medium. Okay. You see that? Make sure you've got all of that really mixed well by pressing against the side of the container to get any dry clumps. So you can see that's kind of a runny honey. Okay, that's a pretty good mix. So what you need to do, or what I have done here, is I've taken a round clear. This is a 3-inch round. I've placed it between two other pieces of glass just to anchor it, because I want this whole ornament screen, minus the top. It'll be the whole, you can see there. That's what I'm attempting to do, is to get that printed on there. Okay, so what you need to do is make sure that your color is the width of the area that you're wanting to screen. Okay, so watch here. We want to make sure we put it here all the way down. I'm going to anchor this screen so that it doesn't move. I'm using our squeegees. The squeegee has a slanted edge, and that's the surface that I want to go across. So I'm pressing, and I'm going to press one more time. And you can kind of see the imprint of the screen there. And I'm going to go ahead and go off onto this other piece of glass. Pick that up, and as you can see, isn't that pretty? A nice lacy ornament. Now, you want to save any of your product. It's too expensive to waste, so I usually try to get it all back in my container. Depending on the screen, you might be able to take another one and do the same. Let's try another. Okay, and you want to, again, line that up so that it touches the top and the bottom. And I'm anchoring with painter's tape. And let's try one more pass. Let's see if we can do it. Sometimes it gets too damp underneath and it gets muddy, and it just doesn't work. Okay. All right, here we go. Take the rest of that off. It worked. Let's go for another. Once in a while, you can get multiple passes. You can see it doesn't take much. Put that back in your container. All right, I don't think I'm going to press my luck. You can see that that's a nice screen again. Okay, put your screens in water. Get them to the sink. I'm just going to tuck mine in a water bowl there so I can go on with this and show you another one. Okay. All right, so now what I want to do is I have a round ornament, white, a larger one. Okay, Once again, I'm going to put these on the edges to anchor with. This one, the screen is too big for it, but what I'm going to do is make it work for me. So I'm going to put the inside of this, where the pink area is here, I'm going to anchor that at the bottom side of the ornament so that I get this halo at the top. That way, if you see me do this, hopefully it will help you with some other ways that you can use your screens if you don't have the exact size of glass. All right, so we're going to anchor that down. All right, now this is larger, so we've got to go even larger. And I'm going to put a piece of tape like right there, just so that it doesn't hang up on my circle. Okay, wipe off my squeegee. Okay, now we have a larger, now because it's a larger area. Okay. There, I think I got it finally on that corner. Okay, lift one corner and check. I did not get enough over here on this little tiny edge. Just need a smidge there. And we need a little bit right here. So I'm just going to use what is on my squeegee. Okay. Take that off. So I have a little bit of cleanup to do, but you can see, and what my thoughts are is I'm going to paint some holly up here on the top, and then I can just take a Q-tip and clean off to make this edge and this edge the same as soon as it dries just a little bit. Okay. Then I also want to do one on a square, but I also want to center that within it. This is just giving you some ideas of ways that you can use those screens differently. Okay. And this one's not going to work because I got too much on the bottom there, so I'll have to rinse and dry this. So rinse your screens in the sink with like a sprayer if you have one, and then lay them flat to dry on the paper towel, and then I'll come back and show you this one. Okay. Okay, we're going to do this one. I have blocked out some of the screen because I don't want those elements on my piece of glass, and I'm doing it on an angle. What I'm doing, let me show you here, is basically like that, so that it's from point to point. Here's the one that we just did, cleaned up, and then I will paint some other elements on there later. Okay, so once again, have your, make sure, check your consistency of your, this is gold sparkle that I'm using. Okay, I did add a few more drops. I have a ceiling fan going, and sometimes that dries things out. Okay, so here we go. So I'm going to place the color kind of around where I need it, and go across and across. I'm going to go one more time and try to flip that over as quick as you can, depending on how much product you have, so you're not wasting, and I can clean up the other areas later. Let's double check by lifting. And looky there, beautiful. Okay, so that will be at an angle, and what I may do is actually cut some of this off so that it's in the shape of the actual ornament. Okay, All of these products can be found on colorsforearth.com. And once again, I've used GS 503 Gold Sparkle with the GM 300 Glass Medium. I have our tool that I mixed with, and then I just mixed it in a container and used one of the jars. Okay, thank you. Okay, so on this particular one that I did on the square, what I did was sketch out, I want to put some holly on here, painting them with enamels. So I'm just going to line that up. This is just tissue paper that I've used, sketched on there with a pencil. Kind of outlined my cap so I know where I was at. I'm just going to take a watercolor marker. This is a Staedtler Tri-Plus Fine Liner. Okay, it's got like a Sharpie point. This may be an old one, but anyway, you can just gently and slowly go over your pencil lines. And let the marker bleed through onto the surface. And all I need is just a little bit of a line. I don't need a solid line. I just need some then to tell me where I'm at. Whoops. Okay. And you just got to go really slow. Some of the tissue has a coating on one side, and it just doesn't want to allow the markers to go through. I would not use a Sharpie because a Sharpie can cause problems with some of your enamels. Okay, I'm going to check that to see. Maybe a little bit more there. I just need a reference. Okay, so you can see I have my outlines there. Now, because I don't want the enamel that I'm going to put on, I don't want to have to fight against what's already here. So what I'm going to do is just take a pointed, this is just a Q-tip, and I'm going to actually take off what I don't want. I'm just applying gentle pressure, and this was dry, of course. You can take a soft brush and dust that off. I'm going to put some of the gold sparkle back in there, but I don't want it, and I don't want to have to fight with it underneath. Okay, so just remove the excess, that way you know where you're painting, and then we'll come back and paint these. Okay, so what I've done on this one is colored in my holly leaves with 360 and 357 key lime and teal. So I'm going to demonstrate on this one what I did. So I filled in the light color. Let's move this up here so you can see it on the outside, and that's just my marker that you see there that I transferred my pattern with. It will burn off. So basically I'm going to make a border around the outside. Then I'm going to grab my teal and put it in the middle. And then I'm going to wipe off the excess off my brush and come in here and just start shaping each one of those leaves. I'm just kind of skimming on the top surface with the liner brush. Make it comfortable, turn your piece. may need to remove some of the color as you're working off your brush if it gets too heavy. It's coming out there. So I just go back and forth and keep playing with it till I get what I want. Sometimes you need to pick up one of the colors if you need more of one or less, and just pick some of that color up and add it on top while you're working. So like on this side, I'm getting just a tiny touch of the teal on my brush so that I can add a little bit more on that area. This is just a simple 2-color blend. You could do it with 3 colors. There's so many different ways that you could do these. So what I did was just go back. I keep wiping my brush off and then picking up. See, just wipe off the excess, because when you lift some of that dark off of there, it's on the brush. So you have to take it off your brush before you can add more light. If you want more prominent lines, variegation. What goes on the brush last comes off of the brush first. So when I'm tipping into those colors, I got to remember to remove that other color. I'm just barely skimming the surface, just to kind of fade that and make it more of a gradual blend. Okay, so you can play with it wet on wet. Do one leaf at a time till you get it like you want it, and then move on. Okay, so I will do the rest of these and I will be back. Okay, to finish these up, what I like to do is I have taken out some CC 151 Cerulean Blue. This is our color concentrate. And I've got the small Sumi brush. Water load, drag off the side to remove a lot of the excess. I want to blot, just gently blot a couple of times because you don't want a lot of blue on there. Just very little on the tip, and then I'm just going to kind of tap it in place. Grab a little bit more. And I just want a little bit of this on one side of the holly leaves. If you fuss around with this and keep playing, what's going to happen is you're going to loosen up your enamel, and then you'll have to reapply. So keep that in mind. So just tap it and go. You can also do this with a liner brush. I like using the Sumis. I feel like I get a better blend or a softer look to it. Okay, and then we'll do this one. Water load, drag off, kind of blot it a couple of times to remove that excess. Maybe this one will just go down here. I still want this up underneath. This one's just a little damp. I'm going to try to stay away from all of that. So it's just a float of color. To add a little bit of a highlight. You can also shade. If you wanted to use 162 Laurel Green concentrate, extremely strong color. You do not need a whole lot. Again, water load, kind of blot off most of that water, where you've just got a tiny, tiny bit of color in your brush. See how strong that is? It doesn't take much. It is extremely strong. Okay. Let's add a tiny bit of that. Underneath there. Blot. See how quickly, I mean, I'm just get it on there, get it done, and get off of there, because it's gonna start moving. Maybe a little bit right there. As this dries, you'll be able to see more of it. Okay. The other thing that I want to do, change this light a little bit. I want to put some of this cerulean blue, I think, in these large areas here. So what I'm going to do is load that small sumi. Make sure there's no water on your ferrule of your brush, because you don't want that to run down. Okay. And this is going to be very light and very transparent. So I'm just a hint of color. Remember these color concentrates? Try to go over it one time. I see I was going over it multiple, and that's probably not the best thing to do. Now, what I did was I got it on top of my silk screen that I don't want it on. So I'm going to very carefully try to take that off. And I may have to, yeah, I'm going to have to reapply some of that gold color there. The other place that I might want it, I'm going to switch and use the mini sumi. Always dampen your brushes before you use them. And then blot out the moisture. Is let's paint in like the cap here. Very thin. You can hardly see it. Hold that up so you can see it a little better in the light. Okay. All right, so then I want to take my liner detail brush and I'm going to go back to my gold sparkle that I used for my silk screen, and I'm going to put a little bit out here on the palette because that's what I'm going to outline with and detail with so that it matches the design. Okay. All right, so you're going to have to slightly thin that with some water just because it needs to flow and you need to be able to get it on your liner. Okay, so I'm going to come down and actually put in my side veins and center vein with that gold. Isn't that pretty? And then I'm going to kind of just give it enough of an outline. And you need to try to stay on top of that enamel. It'll make it darker or heavier. And it's almost like you're flooding it, just so you can get a solid line. Constantly pick up more product. Excuse me. Like I said, as soon as this dries too, it's going to show up your sumi shading that you did with the blue and the green. Concentrate. So what you've got to do is think of what your end product is that you're wanting, how to get there. So I'm just outlining with the same product that I screened with earlier. That way everything ties together. It makes it very elegant. Okay. All right, so what I'll do is finish these up, and I'll come back and show you what they're going to look like before I fire. And then I will have a firing schedule. I'm just going to about 1400 on this. I don't want it to pull in, but I need it to mature the color. So 1380 is your minimum temperature. 1380, 1390, depending on your kiln. Minimum temperature, excuse me, to mature the color. But look how nice that looks. Isn't that pretty? Okay, so I'm going to finish the other one and then I'll be right back. Okay, so I've decided to add a little bit more blue to this particular one in the openings that the silkscreen left. So this time, because it's smaller, I'm just going to use a liner brush and pull those in. And this will be very translucent, which is what I want. Okay, so I'm just going to continue to add anything I want. I think I'm going to fill in most of these openings, and then I'll show you a final picture.